Hi everyone, welcome back to the AIML roadmap series, and we are discussing Python fundamentals. And in the last session we have discussed about the list data collection type, and now we are going to discuss the tuples. Okay, so a tuple in Python is an ordered immutable collection of objects. So when we discussed list, we discussed that it is an ordered mutable and it can have duplicate values, right? Now when we are talking about tuples, it is ordered, that is, if I have placed my first element at index 0, it will remain at index 0. Okay, it is ordered, but here the tuples are immutable. That is, if I stored an item at index 0, we cannot modify it. Okay, we cannot add it here, we cannot modify it. Basically it is immutable. Next, tuples, we can have duplicates. Okay, yeah. How we can create a tuple? So a tuple is defined by these braces and the items are separated by a colon. Okay, this is how you can define a tuple. Similar to list, we can have same data types or different data types in a single tuple. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it, how we can create it. Accessing tuple items, how we can access it. Similar to list, by indexing we can access it. Next we'll learn about tuple slicing, similar to how we were doing in strings and lists. Same way we can slice them. Okay, next we'll check about its immutability. Yeah, we'll do the loops how we did with list, and we'll check for nested tuples. I think we did not check for nested list, but I think we'll do it here. Okay, next we'll see how we can pack and unpack tuples. Okay, so let's start with, so here I have defined a tuple. So it start with these braces and we have comma as a separator. Okay, now if I simply print it, it is the same example that we are using as list here, and we'll simply do this. Okay, now when we are saying that the ordered, unchangeable and allowed duplicates, let's give it a try. So let's do something like, so yeah, so ordered means that no matter how many times I'll run it, I'll see the same sequence of the tuple. Okay, tuple would be at 0th place, first index, second index, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay, unchangeable. So let's say for example, if I do something like this, let's try to change the first value to grapes. Let's see if it works or not. Something like that. So when I try to do this, I am getting this error. So we cannot modify it. That tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, next is we'll check how we can check the tuple length. Similar, we have length function and we can just simply call it and we'll see the length. Okay, next we have tuple with one item. For example, I have only, let's say I only have this, fruit equals to apple. Now I want to create a tuple out of it. So how I can do this? So yeah, so let's say I have only single item. So right now if I define it like that, so it is a string, right? I can check it, print fruit comma type of fruit. So if I do this, yeah, it is a string type. Now let's try to convert it to a tuple. So if we define it like this, let's say with a single element, if we talked about, so it should start with these and it can have a element. So let's see what is it. If I do something like this, okay, and let's check the type of it here and see what's happening. You see, it's still a string. Now how can I define a tuple which has only one item? So the way to define it is by simply adding a colon. Yeah, the moment I do it, it will create a tuple with a single value. Okay, this is how you can do it. Okay, tuple items, so it can have different data types. So here I have created a tuple with the string data type. You can have different as well. So for example, tuple 1 equals to 1 2 3 4. So it is a tuple of integers. Okay, let's say I create tuple 2 equals to 1.3 2.4 5.6 5.2. It is a tuple of floats. Let's create another ABC. It is a tuple of string and this is a tuple of boolean. Okay, now I want to create a tuple which is a heterogeneous. Basically it will contain the elements from different data types. So let's create something like 1.4 a true. Okay, works. And let's simply we'll do is we'll print these. Okay, we'll do something like this. Okay, let's quickly print it. So you can see that. Can we do one more thing? Can we add, we also read about one more data type, right? Can we add a list as an element to the tuple or not? Let's try it. So if you see, we can do it, right? Works, है ना? Okay, next is how we can see the type. So if you do something like print type of fruits, so if you do this, list of fruits, if you do this, fruits is this, right? So it will show you the class is tuple, right? Next, similarly, how we had the list constructor or a string constructor or an int constructor, similarly we have a tuple constructor. Okay, now for example, you have something like you have something like, or you suppose, let's say you have a list. Okay, I have a list fruits equals to apple comma banana. Okay, now I printed print fruits comma type of fruits. So it should show me list, right? Now let's try to create a fruit. Yeah, do something like this. So let's see if we can convert it from tuple list to tuple. So it works, right? So this is how you can use this type. What we did here, we did a typecasting, right? We have learned about it, so I'm assuming that you guys remember it. Okay, next we have is how we can access the tuple item. So similarly how we were doing with the list, suppose this is my tuple. Same way I could do that, right? I can do same way I could do print fruits 0, right? If I do this, I can print the first item. So similar tuple list follows the indexing, right? So we have 0 indexing. Let me just copy paste from above how we discussed there. So similarly we have this indexing here also. Yeah, so similarly we have this indexing here also. So apple, kiwi, banana, orange, tomato, pear or mango, right? So let's quickly see the length as well. Length of fruit should be 7. Okay, good. So similarly if I want to, let's say, check the 5th element, so I'll pass the 4th index, right? So this is how you can do it, right? 5th element 1 2 3 4 5, which is tomato. Make sense? Next we have negative indexing. Same, let's say I want to print the last element, so what I can do is we can say fruits minus 1, so it should print me mango, right? Now what if I want to print the last 5th element, so I'll do minus 5, so 1 2 3 4 5, so it should print me banana. Yeah, makes sense. Next, similar to the range of indexes, slicing, I could do similar how we were doing earlier, right? So if I want to print the first and the second element, so it will print kiwi, banana. I want to print every element after second, it will print me, right? And similarly if I want to print first 5 elements, I can do something like this. Okay, start from start and go up to 5, so it will print me apple, kiwi, banana, orange and tomato, right? Next is for the range of negative numbers, similar how we did above for the list, similar way we can print it right here as well. Now if I want to see, check if item exists, similar, if you remember we did using in operator, similarly we can do here as well. So if I want to, let's say I want to check whether apple exists in fruits or not, so it does, right? So it should get true. If I check grapes exist in fruits, yes or no, no, right? So it should give me false. Let's quickly check it. Yeah, okay. Second, next thing we'll discuss about the, can we change the tuple values or not? So for example, let's take this one and let's quickly do something like this. Okay, now let's try to do fruits 0 equals to grapes. So if we run it, we will get something like this, right? We have already discussed it above, that's why we say it is immutable, right? Now how can we do that then? Like how can we add the elements to a tuple? So there are different ways how we can do it. First is we can like we have learned about typecasting, right? So we can convert it to a list, then we can add an element to a list, and then we can convert it back, right? For example, let's check with the first one how we can do this way. Okay, for example, I want to add grapes to this tuple, and let's say I want to add it at the first index. okay, as the first element, let's say. Okay, how I can do that? So first of all I need to convert it to list. So first I'll do is equal to a typecasting. So list of fruits, if I check it, print of list 1, so it should show me as a list, right? And if I see the type of list 1, it should show me the list type. Now list, it is a list, so I can simply do list1 dot insert. We remember this method, right? List1 dot insert at the first 0th index, because I want to add it at the first position. So first element, the position, the index should be 0, right? So this is how I can do it, right? So okay, so I'll do the insert at 0th index, and if I now print the list, it should print me grapes, apple, so on, right? Now what I'll do, I'll convert it back to a tuple, right? So then if I'll print fruits, so let's see how it works. So I have created a list, this is a list, yeah. Then I performed a insert, and then I print the list again. So this is the list, right? Then I converted it to tuple, and then I print it. So now this is a tuple, right? This is one way to do it. Second is I can do add tuple to tuple. So, and by adding tuple to tuple, I'll create a third tuple basically, yeah. So for example, I have a tuple 1 which has let's say apple and kiwi, yeah. Now I create another tuple, let's say I want to add grapes, I want to add grape at the first element, right? Let's say same. Okay, so what we'll do, let's say, yeah, we'll create, yeah, something like this. So now what we'll do, I want to add grapes at the first element, so I'll do tuple 2 plus tuple 1, right? How we concatenate, same method how we were doing it list, similar we'll do it here, okay. When I do that, what happens here, so tuple 1 I have this, tuple 2 I have this, I want to add this new grapes to the beginning of it, so that's why I'm doing tuple 2 plus tuple 1. So let's run it. So you see, but what if I do something like, let's name it as 3. So what if I do something like tuple 4 equals to tuple 1 plus tuple 2. So what will happen here, so it will add grapes to the end, right? That's how you can modify your tuple. So technically we are not modifying it, we are creating a new instance, okay. Next is how we can remove items. Similarly, we cannot remove items from tuple directly. The first way is we can convert it to a list. Again, similar, let's say I want to let's say I have this, yeah. Let's try first method, which is convert to the list, and let's say I want to remove orange, okay. So how I can do that, so first of all what I need to do, I'll need to typecast, I need to convert it to a list, right? We'll check it. Now how we can remove it, we know how to do that, so list1 dot remove, and then we'll mention our element, right, which is orange, है ना? So now if I'll check it, this list should not contain orange. Now what I need to do, I need to typecast it back to tuple, right? Once I do it, so I'll get something like this. So initially I converted it to a list. Now I removed this element orange. Now, so if you see here, this does not contain orange, and then I have converted back it to a tuple, right? This is how you can remove items from it. If you want to delete a tuple entirely, so we have the functionality for it, which is we can use delete a keyword. Okay, if you want to delete the tuple, so similar how we were doing there, we can use delete fruits, and when we run it, it will throw an error because it does not exist anymore, right? Yeah, same way, similar to list. The only difference is in there we could also delete the elements, right? But here we can only delete the list entirely. Okay, next we will talk about how we can unpack a tuple. Okay, let's say I have this tuple, let's say fruits, and let's reduce. So I have, let's say I have 3 fruits only. Okay, and if I print it as fruits, I can see something like this, right? Now what I want is I want to unpack this. I want to store these as 3 different variables, like fruit 1, fruit 2, fruit 3. So how I can do it? I can do something like f1 comma f2 comma f3 equals to fruits, right? Yeah, now if I do something like fruits, sorry, I'll do something like f1 comma f2 comma f3. So what it will do, so right now in fruits there are 3 elements, right? So it will assign apple to f1, kiwi to f2, and banana to f3, right? Now let's try something else. So for example, if I do something like f1 comma f2 equals to fruits, let's see what happens now. Print f1 comma f2. Yeah, let's see what happens. It will throw an error because you have too many values to unpack, right? This fruit contains 3 values, but you are only unpacking 2, so it will throw an error, right? Make sense? So this is how you can unpack. Now there is one more thing, which is using asterisks. So for example, you don't know how many variables this tuple contains, how many items or values this tuple contains, but you do know that first 2 items is like fruits, and then there could be anything, it does not matter. So how you can unpack it? Let's say, let's have this one. Okay, let's recreate fruits equals to this. Now if I do something like this, so what will happen? So apple will be mapped to f1, kiwi will be mapped to f2, and now rest of the things, whatever it is, it will be mapped to f3, right? Let's check. Yeah, it will be mapped to f3 as a list, right? Make sense? This is how you can do it. We can also do something like this as well. So f1, so for example, I know that the first element is a fruit, the last element is a fruit, and in between whatever it is, it does not matter. So we can write something like this. So f1 will be mapped to apple, f3 will be mapped to mango, and whatever it is there in between, whatever it is there, it will be assigned to f2, right? So if I run it, it will have something like this, right? This is how you can unpack your tuple. Yeah, makes sense? Now we'll have a loop through a tuple, how we were doing how we were doing with for loop, similarly we can do here. Suppose I have this similarly how we were doing in list, similarly we can do here as well. For example, we have this fruits and let's print it. So we can use for fruit in fruits, and what we'll do, we'll simply print the fruit. Okay, so okay, let's see. So okay, sorry, I made a mistake. So let's do fruit. Okay, so let's see how it is working. I think we did not discuss it in detail in list, but let's do it here. So in fruits you have, let's see how it works. Okay, in fruits you have these many items, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this loop will run for each item. Okay, so first it will run for apple, second it will run for kiwi, third for banana, fourth for tomato, then for pear, then for mango. So the first time it ran for apple, and what it does, it says print apple, so that's why it is printing apple, right? Next it goes for kiwi and it says to print kiwi, so it is printing kiwi, right? Next it says to print banana and it is printing banana, right? Similarly, next time it goes to print tomato and it is printing tomato, right? Next it goes for pear and it is printing pear, right? Similarly, last it goes to for mango, it is printing mango. Now since the list is empty, like since the list is finished, so it exits the loop. Okay, so this is how it is working. Yeah, next we have a loop through the index numbers. Okay, so we know how the indexing works, right? So for example, print length, we know the length of fruits is should be 1 2 3 6, right? So the indexing should be from 0 to 5, right? So if I do print fruits 0 and if I print fruits 5, so I'll get first in the last item, right? I know that, right? So how we can iterate through it as well. So how we can iterate through the index value. So now we'll have something like for fruit in range, this is length, so it will be a number which is 5, right? So it will go for 0 1 2 3 4 5, right? So now this length of fruit become, this range of fruit become, we remember we learned about range, so range will become, length of fruit is 5, right? So the range will become 0, no sorry, length will become 6 because length is 6, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6, and this the range will become 0 to 6, right? 0 to 5, right? Both including. So we'll have 0 1 2 3 4 5, right? So the first time it will go for 0, then what is saying, it is saying to print the 0th element, right? Print the element at 0 index. So what we have at 0 index, we have apple, right? So it will print apple. Next it will go for 1 and it is saying to print fruit at first index, right? Now it will print kiwi. Okay, similarly next it will go for fruit 2, it will go for 3, it will go for 4, and it will go for 5. Okay, let me just quickly fill it up. 3 for 4 and for 5, right? So once it will go for 2 zeroth index, we have banana, right? So it should print banana. Similarly, it should, for the third index, it should print tomato. For the fourth index, it should print pear. For the fifth index, it should print the last item, which is mango, right? So this is how it is working when we are looping through the index numbers and when we are looping through the tuple. Okay. I know I think I moved a bit fast when we were working with the list, but here I just want to clarify because we haven't gone through the for loops yet. So I hope it added a lot of clarity now. So yeah, okay. Next we have join. Similar how we were doing with joins in list. Similarly, we have here tuples. So remember how we were creating a new tuple. In similar way, we can join the tuples, right? For example, if first tuple has 2 elements, second tuple has 2 elements, and if I want to combine them, I can do something like equals to fruits 2, right? I can do something like that, and I could just print fruit 1. Yeah, it will combine both. So do you see something like this? So this is one of the assignment operator we have gone through, right? If you guys remember, I hope you remember, right? So this is how we can do it. Let's say there are more let's say there are one more tuple. For example, we have something like we have 3 tuples. So let's say fruits 3, which has only berries. Okay, and since there is a single element, so we need to do this to create it as a tuple, right? So now we want to combine all 3 to, let's say, a fourth tuple. So what I'll do, I'll just combine all 3's. Basically 1 plus fruits 2 plus fruits 3, right? Now if I print it, it's fruit 4, so it should contain all the elements from fruit 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let me quickly see it, right? Now there is also a thing that we can do is multiply the tuples. So let's see how we can do that, right? So for example, I have this tuple, something like this. If I do something, let's say if I do something like fruits underscore 1 into 2, so let's see if what happens. So what it will do, it will repeat the amount of elements. Can you see? So basically what it is doing is plus this, right? Let's try it for the list as well, because I think we did not do that then. So let's say we have this and let's create it as a list. Okay, and if I do something like this, let's see what happens. So it will do something like this, right? This is how we can multiply tuples and list. Okay, there's one more thing that we are missing that we did not discuss for list as well, which is nested list or tuples, right? Okay, so for example, I have something like this. Sorry, fruits equals to something like this. Now I have two types of fruits. Okay, one is tropical fruits, one is citrus fruits. So let's say lemon, dragon fruit or orange. It's a one category of fruits. Second, we have, let's say, papaya and berries. Okay, this is also how we can define the tuple. So let's quickly print it. Oh, sorry. Okay, so right now, so you say something happens here. It is throwing a name error because right now these lemons, they are defined as a variable, which is not there, right? But I need them as a string. Okay, so let me quickly do it. So now if I print it, let's try it again. So see, I'll have something like this. Now how to access these variables? So for example, I want to print only papaya. So how should I do this? So I know that papaya is the second element, right? So if I do something like if I do something like print fruits, second element, which is first, right? So let's see what happens here. So I have papaya and berries. Now what I want, let's say I want papaya. So I want the 0th index from this. So I can do something like fruits first and 0th element. Okay, so this becomes 1 and this becomes this. So now we have something like this, right? This is how we can create nested tuples, and this is how we can access it. Similarly, for list, for example, we have a numbers list which has, let's say, some even odd numbers and they have some even numbers. Okay, 2, 4, 6. Now if I print it, numbers list, right, it works fine. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's quickly check the type of it as well, right, to verify whether the type is correct or not. Yeah, type of numbers list. Okay, so we'll quickly do that, and you should see that this is a class tuple, right? This is a nested tuple, but again the class remains the tuple, and this is a nested list, and the class also remain the list. Okay, now I want to extract, let's say, element 6. So I know the element 6 belong to the second element because this is the first element separated by comma and this is the second element. So let's try to do that. Okay, so I know how to extract the second element. Now from the second element I need to extract the third element. So index should be 0, 1, 2, right? So I can do something like 2. Okay, so I'll have something like this, right? So this is how you can create nested list tuples and how you can access those, right? Okay, next we have some tuple methods which are limited. First is count. You can count the number of times a specific element occurred in a tuple. For example, you have a tuple which is something like tuple 1. It has, okay, let's take the same example. Let's take this one. No, let's take this one. Somewhere we have created, yeah. Okay, let's take this example. Fruits equals to this. Now I want to check how many times kiwi occurred, okay, in this. So you see, right, kiwi is there only once. Now if I do something like this, it will show me 2 because kiwi occurred twice, right? Second is index, similar. If I want to see the index of kiwi, so what index does, it gives me the first occurrence where the kiwi is found. So 0, 1, 2, right, it give me 2, but kiwi also exists at last element and the fifth index, but it will not give me that, it will only give me the first occurrence. Now for sorry index, I made a mistake. Yeah, both are same now, so I got confused. Okay, now if I want to find an index of an element which does not exist here. So let's see what happens. So it will throw me a value error. Okay, similar how it was doing in list and how it was doing in string, right? Now let's see for count for element which does not exist, right? So what happens? See what happens. Okay, wait. So see what happens is it will throw me 0 because this element does not exist, so the count will be 0, right? So yeah, so this is all for tuples and we finish it. So the major things that we have discussed about tuples, I hope we have covered all of these. We got to know how we can create tuples, how we can create homogeneous tuples, how we can create heterogeneous tuple. We know what's the importance of this comma while creating a tuple, right? How we can create a tuple with a single element. Yeah, how we can access the tuple elements. We got to know how we can do slicing with the positive indexing, negative indexing. We got to know that tuples are immutable. We have looped through tuples from tuples and also with the index values. Next, we also learned about the nested tuples. We have learned about the nested loops, nested list as well, and how we can access the items. Okay. Next, we have also learned about the tuple packing and tuple unpacking, right? Let's start with Python sets. Okay, so a set in Python is an unordered, unindexed collection of unique items. So if you remember, we have discussed that list is an ordered, mutable, and contain duplicates, right? Now with the set, what we are saying that it is unordered and unindexed, right? And it does not contain no duplicates, right? This is what we are getting from here, right? So if you remember in uh, academic mathematics, you have learned about Venn diagrams and sets, right? These are the same sets that we have in Python. Okay, so we'll learn about how we can create them. So how we can create them. Okay, so for list we know how we can create a list which is square brackets, right? For mm, for tuple we can create it by this, and with a set we have something like this. Okay, this is how we can define a set. Okay, so how we can create a set, we'll talk about it. A set with duplicate, it will get automatically removed. How we can define an empty set, so you will see something else. Let's discuss it later. Okay, how we can add and remove elements from a set, and we'll discuss some set operations. And yeah, okay, let's start. And okay, let's start. So first of all, what we are saying, that this set items unordered, unchangeable, and okay, so let's see what we mean by that. Let's do something. Let's add a duplicate here as well. Let's add banana. Okay, so let's see what happens, what is happening. So when I do something like fruits, if I print it, so you will see something that it only contains 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, but it only contains 7 items because this banana was a duplicate. So it removed the duplicate and kept the original one. Okay, this is what it meant when it says that duplicates are not allowed. Now if I run it again, now if I try to access the element of it, for example, if I do something like fruits 0, if I try to do something like this, it will throw me an error that the string object is non-subscriptable, that is, we cannot index it. Okay, yeah, but if I do something like, let's try to do something. If I typecast it to the list, let's say, and then if I try to check the first element, then I can do, right? Okay, let's do this. Then I can do, right? But directly on set I cannot do that. Okay, this is what I mean when I say it is we cannot access it, right? Next is, yeah, also we have one more thing which is very funny, which is, let's example, for example, I have a, let's create a new set. Let's create a set 1 which is a heterogeneous set. Okay, it has, let's say it has some string ab, it has some value 2 3, it has some boolean, and then it has some float, and let's add some tuple list as well, and a tuple as well. Let's see how it works. Okay, so we cannot add a list. Okay, let's see, yeah, but a tuple is allowed. Okay, so this is how we can add it. Now if you see, now let's try to add 1. You'll see something which is that from 1 and true, it only kept true because it consider 1 and true as duplicates. Okay, let's do something similar for false. It will keep only false because it contains 0 as a, because it sees false and 0 as 1. And also if you notice one more thing, that you have defined your set like this, but when you are printing it, it is something like this, that the order of elements that you have created is suddenly changed, right? So that's why we say that the sets are unordered. Okay, makes sense? Okay, next is how we can see the length of the set. Same method that we have been using everywhere, right? Length, this is how we can check. 1, so it should have 1 2 3 4 5, 1 and 2 is considered same, so 5, 0 and false is considered same, so 6. So it should have 6 elements. Yeah, makes sense? And let's check for the fruits as well. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, because banana is repeated, so it should have 7 elements. Make sense? So this is how you can do it. The data types that item can have, we can have string, integer, boolean, and we can also have tuple, but we cannot have a list. Okay, let's see something else as well. So set equals to 1 equals to, let's say 1 2, let's give it a thought with everything. Okay, if I have something like true comma false, it works. If I create something like set 3 equals to float, let's see if it works with float as well. I think it should. Now let's see something like set 4 equals to, so we know string works. B. Now let's try for something like a list 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Now let's check for 6 equals to tuple a comma b, sorry, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and let's try one more, which is a set inside a set. Let's see it works or not. 1 comma 2. Okay, let's see if it works or not. Okay, now let's see if it works or not. I'll print. So you see, with list it does not work like we have suspected earlier, right? Now let's remove set 5 from here. Let's check for other. For set, multiple set, it also does not work because it is unhashable, right? So what we have concluded is that a set can have an int, a float, a boolean, a string, and a tuple as the data type, right? So remember that. Okay, next item we have is how we can access the set items. Okay, let's take this example only. So if I do something like fruits, it should show me, yeah, works. Now if I try to do something like fruits, okay, something I made something, no, okay, if I try to do something like this, it will, no, I think, okay, yeah, if I will try to do something like this, it will throw me an error which is that the set object is not subscriptable. So then how can I access my items? So the one way you can do it is by doing a for loop. For example, for fruit in fruits, right? This is how we can do it. Let me, yeah, this is how you can access it. And second, let's say if I want to check whether a particular item exists or not, how you can do it is similar how we were doing earlier. Let's say I want to check banana exists in fruits or not. I'll do something like this. So because it exists, it will show me true, right? And similar example is take for grapes. Does it exist? No, right? So it should throw me false. Make sense? Now how I can add items to a list. So what we know till now that we cannot modify the element, right? and we also cannot access the element by indexing, but we can add the elements. Okay, so how we can do it? We have like two ways. One is add and second is update. Okay, uh, okay uh, first is add. So for example, I have this fruit. Now I want to, let's say, add fruits dot add. I want to add cherries. Now if I print it, I'll have something like this. Okay, it had added cherries, but you have to notice one thing, that it has added it randomly. Yeah, right. Second, let's check with update. So how update works? So if you see, if you just hover a little bit, it, let's try something. So if I do update and I'll try to add a single value. Let's say I want to add grapes. So see what happened. So it added G R A P. So how I should add is as a list. Okay, this is how update work. So it added grapes and berries, and if you have noticed, it has added at random places. Okay, because there is no concept of ordered in um, in sets. So here I have added as a list. I can also add it as a what is it? What do we have? Added as a set. Okay, so I could do something like, let's do f1 comma f2 because I have run out of fruit names. Okay, so this is also same. It should also work, right? It should have added f1 and f2. And let's try to update it using for example a tuple. So it should also work. So basically what we have okay, sorry, let's change these to f3 and f4 so that we can verify it. F3 and f3, right? So what we have concluded by it is that using update we can update a set with any iterable, right? Iterable is something which can be iterated, right? Let's try with string as well. I think we have tried it with the very beginning, but let's try again. Okay, let's try with string as well, because string is an iterable. And let's if you do string, so you will see that S R S T R I N G, right? Let's try with number, for example. Let's see if it works or not. So if I try it with, if I try it 1, it should fail, right? Because int object is not iterable. Okay, so what we have concluded by it is using update we can update a set with any iterable. Okay, now the next topic is how we can remove the items from the set. Okay, till now we have learned how we can add. Now time for how we can remove items. Okay, something. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, oh. Okay, so let's take the example of this one only. So there are multiple methods with which we can do it. First one is remove. So let's see how it works. For example, I have this print I have this fruits set, then I'll simply do fruits dot remove banana, right? So here it will remove it. Yeah, now if I try to remove banana again, so it should throw me a key error. Okay, and I remember that we did not try to do this try to do something similar with list and tuple. Let's see how that works as well. So let's quickly modify this as a list first. Let's see if it works or not. Okay, I try to remove the banana first, then I'll try to remove it again and see if it works or not. Okay, I think it should throw the error. Okay, so did you notice something, that if the item does not exist, there is no error in case of list. Okay, let's try the same with tuple as well. Okay, it threw. Okay, with tuple we cannot do it, right? Because tuples are immutable. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. But with list, it does not throw any error. Yeah. Okay, let's see something. Initially I had this. We removed banana. We removed it again. Let's see something. Type of fruits. Okay, see something. So banana is twice. Okay. Now see, yeah, it should throw an error. Well, that's why I was like worried. So yeah, it will throw an error because this element does not exist anymore. So you see, the error is different, but it will throw an error. So with list it is a value error, with set it is a key error. Okay, makes sense. Okay, next method we can do, the next method we have is discard. So let's say let's take the example again with discard. Let's say we have this and we'll print it. Now let's me discard, okay, sorry, let me fruits dot discard banana. It should work, right? It removed banana. Now let's try to do it again. Let's see what happens. Will it throw an error or will it not? So you see, it did not throw an error. So which means if the item does not exist, it does not do, it will not raise any error. It will like slightly, it will just let it go. Okay, it will not raise any error or anything like that. Okay, next we have is the pop method. Okay, similar how we have pop in list, similar we can have it here. For example, right now we have these. If I do something like print fruits dot pop, it should remove element, and you will notice something, that it will remove randomly. So when we were doing pop in list, it was removing the last item, but here it is removing randomly. Or is it removing the first element, not is removing randomly. Let's try to do it again as well, just to verify it. So if you see, it removed apple, then it removed tomato. Yeah, this is how it works. Then we have clear, similar to how we have the clear method in list. If we do fruits dot clear, it will simply empty the set, right? And with the del, it will delete it, right? So if we try to print fruit, it will just throw me an error saying name error, right? Because the fruit does not exist anymore. Okay, so this is how it is. So there is one topic that we missed. So okay, so for example, let's say I have created a set set 1 equals to 1 2 comma 3, right? And I'll print it set 1. Yeah, let me quickly remove it. Okay, so I'll do this, it will work, right? Now how do I define an empty string? Or let's check the type of it. So we can check its data type, right? We know how to check it. We can simply do something like this. So once we do it, it will show me that this is a class set, right? Now how to define an empty set? Let's see, if I do something like this, and if I do this, you see, it is showing me the class as dict. We'll discuss this later on, but it is not showing it as a set. So how do we define an empty set? So to define an empty set in Python, we need to mention the type. Okay, so this is how we can define the sets in Python, an empty set in Python. Okay, so now see, this is how it works in Python. Okay, next topic is loops. Similar how we were doing in list in tuple. Similarly, how we did above, while accessing the list set element, we can use a for loop for x. And for example, let's take an example for this only. Let's take an example of this. For x in fruits, print x. Yeah, x is, for the first time, x is apple, then kiwi, then banana, then orange, then tomato, then pear, then mango, then banana, right? So if I simply run it, it will work, right? Next we will have joins in sets. Okay, so let's remember how we were doing joins in list and tuples. We were using plus, right? So let's try to do something similar here. Let's say I have a set 1 which is have 1 2 and 3, for example, and I have set 2 which has 4 5 6. And what if I try to do set 1 plus set 2? Let's see if it works or not. You see, it is an unsupported item. It is an unsupported operand type. So how should we do the joins in sets? So there are multiple ways to do joins in set. Okay, so if you remember, in academia we had the operations like union, intersection, difference and things like that, the same remains in Python as well. Okay, so if we want to combine, so let's say first operation is we want to combine two strings. Okay, so combine two strings is basically union. The term that is used is union. Okay, how we can do it? So for example, I have, let's take the example of this only, set1 and set2. I could do something like set3 equals to set1 dot union of set2, right? If I print it, what will happen is it will combine the elements from set1 and set2. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now let's say set1 contain 1 2 3 4 and set2 contain 4 5 6. So if you see, there is a common element between them, which is 4, right? But so let's see what happens when I try to union them. So you will see the common element is coming only once because it is a set, right? So this is how the union operation works. We can also do the same thing using this shorthand operation. So this is same as this. Instead of doing this, I can do something like this. Yeah. If I run it, yeah, same. Okay, this is how we can do union. Okay, and there's one more method which is using update. So let's see how update works. Okay, let's see how update works. So we have, okay, so how update works is I'll have like set1 dot update set2. So what it will do, it will union, like it will add the elements of set2 to set1. So now if I run it, I'll set1 becomes this, right? This is how you can do union. There are 3 ways you can do it. Using union, you have to create a new set. You can do it using the shorthand operator, and you can also do it using update function. Okay, this is how you can do a union in you can do union in sets. Okay, next we have is join multiple sets. So how we can do that is, for example, I have many sets. For example, I have something like set1 equals to 1 2 3, set2 equals to 2 comma 3, and set3 equals to 4, and let's say one more, set4 equals to 2 and 4. Okay, sorry, 2 and 4. Now how can I perform the union operation? So I could do something like set5 dot union set2 set3 set3 set4. Now run it. Yeah, this is how I could do it. So the common is 1, sorry, this union would be 1 2 3, 2 and 3 is there as well, 2 is there as well, 4. So 1 2 3 4, right? Now how I can do it with this with the shorthand operator? So you could do something like for the same, you could do something like this, set underscore 6 equals to set1, something like this. Okay, so you see, with union you need to just mention one, but with the shorthand operator you need to mention it multiple times. Yeah, so let's quickly run it. Yeah, output would be same. Okay, this is how we can perform the union. Okay, so next is how can we join a set and a tuple. Okay, let's try with both union and the shorthand operator. Okay, yeah, let's say I have a set 1 to 3 and I have a tuple 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now let's try to perform the union. And let's try to perform the union first, and then we'll try the shorthand operator. So if I do something like this, it works, right? But what if I do something something like this? Would it work? Should it work? I don't think so, but let's give it a shot. It will throw an error because the tuple does not have any attribute as union, right? Now let's try to do it using the shorthand operator. Let's see it works or not. It will not work because for this operator we need both as the set. Okay, this is how we can do. Yeah, so we have learned about, in union we have learned about how we can perform add joins. We can have union, we can have a shorthand operator, and we can have an update method. The difference between union and update: union we need to store it in a third set, but update, it will update the first one, right? Okay, next we have is intersection. Intersection, in layman terms we call it common values. Okay, so let's say if I have a set 1 which has values 1, 2, 3 and a set 2 which has values 4, 5, 6. So if you combine both these sets, you will get something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you try to find the common terms between the sets, so there is none, right? So it will be an empty set because 1, 2, 3 unique, 4, 5, 6 unique, so there is no commonality between two. Okay, how we can check that in Python? So we have a function called intersection. Okay, so let's do, if I do print set1 dot intersection set2, so it should print an empty set, right? But let's say if I say set1 is 1, 2, 3, 4, then it will have an element which is 4, right? This is one way we can do it. Second way we can do it is using an AND operator, similar how we were doing earlier, right? If I do something like print set1 and set2, let's see what happens. I'll get same output. Okay, this is how you can do. Okay, same thing happens here as well. So let's see if I try to find an intersection between a set and a tuple, a list for example. So here we can also try it with the list as well, so that would have also worked. Okay, so let's try it here. So for example, if I do something like print 1, 2, 3 dot intersection, and let's give it a list which has 3, 4, 5. Let's see if it works or not, right? 3 which is common. Let's try with tuple as well. Yeah, But if we'll try it with, let's say, a set, and we'll do something like this, it will throw an error because the operand should be same, right? So got it? This is how we can perform the intersection. Okay, so if you remember, like we were doing update in union, similarly we have a method called let's say, let's redefine these, set1 comma set2, and let's say if I do set1 dot intersection, so we have a method called intersection update. Okay, if I do it with set2 set underscore 2, let's see what happens. So it will keep only the duplicates, but it will modify the value of set1. Okay, so this is how you can do, yeah, the intersection. So union is combining two sets, intersection is finding the common difference, and intersection is finding the common elements, and next we have difference, which is if I do a minus b, so it will remove all the elements of b from a, but it will keep the elements from a, right? So basically it will return a new set that will contain only the items from the first set that are not present in the other set. Okay, so for example, let's take the same example because we have common elements here. Yeah, so if I do something like print set underscore 1 dot difference set 2, so what should be the output? What do you think? What should be the output? So in set 1 we have 1 2 3 4, in set 2 we have 4 5 6, so 4 is common, so what should be the output of set 1 is 1 2 3, because 4 is common, so it will remove it, right? If I run it, so yeah. Okay, the same thing I could do with a hyphen minus sign as well. Okay, so if I'll do something like this, so this is also same, both are same. Okay, now how we were doing update, intersection update, similarly in here we have a method which is called intersection. Let me see, intersection difference update. Okay, yeah, so if I do this, it will also give me 1 2 3, but it will modify the, so if I do something like this again, so basically it will modify the actual set. Okay, the only difference is, so this is how we can find the difference. Okay, next we'll have something called symmetric difference. Okay, so symmetric difference, what it does, it will keep only the elements that are not present in both the sets. Okay, so for example I have a set 1 this, and if I do something like print symmetric difference, so what it will do, it will remove 4 but it will keep the rest. Okay, and the other way to do it, using this operator, and it will both give the same. And similar how we had difference update, intersection update, and update, similarly here we have something called a symmetric difference update. So this will also give me the same result. Okay, so these are the joins. The joins are completed. So 3 things. So in joins we have learned 3 type of joins, right? First is union, second is intersection, right, and third we have learned about is difference, and fourth we have learned about is symmetric difference. Okay, so what we have noticed, in all of these there are three type of methods which are available. First is the union method. So basically the first method, so basically three methods we could do it, union or difference or intersection or symmetric difference. Yeah, so these method, here we need to store somewhere, okay, the result. For the operators like this, comma and, comma minus, comma this, these only works on same data type, if the before and after are same data types. And then we have update methods, right? They update the first set, right? Make changes to the first entity. Okay, so this is the only difference. Okay, so these are the joins we have. Next is we have something called a frozen set. So frozen set, what is it? It is an immutable version of a set. That is, we cannot add or remove elements from the set, from a frozen set. Okay, so how we define it is, for example, we have something like frozen underscore set equals to, it has a constructor. How we define it, right? Suppose I am defining one, let's do something like 1, 2 and 3, right? Now if I print, and I'll print the type as well. Okay, I'll have, if I check, it will print me the values and it will print the class as a frozen set. This is how you define a frozen set. Okay, now with the methods, so similar how we were have so it also has like similar methods. So let's see one by one. Okay, let's start with copy. So if you remember, let's do one thing first. Okay, so if you want to create a copy, so you can do something like frozen set 1 equals to, dot copy. Give me a second. We'll have some frozen set 1 dot, yeah, we'll have something like this. Okay, so this is how I can define a copy. And if I also quickly check the type of this newly created frozen set, so it should give me the type of frozen set. Okay, makes sense. Now next now similar how we had union, intersection, difference and symmetry difference, the same things we have here as well. So let's start with union. Okay, so let's say I have these two frozen sets, frozen set 1 and I have a frozen set 2. Let's have it 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now union, I can do something like frozen set 1 dot union, right? Frozen set frozen set 1 union frozen set 2. So it should give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Makes sense. Now we can also do something like, something like this, right? This is also we can do the union. Okay, this is how we can perform. So let's see one more thing. So if you remember, we are also doing update. So let's see if that also apply to fuzzy set or not. So if I do something dot update, so if you see, let's check. I don't think it exists, but let's quickly verify that. So if I do something like this, it will throw an error. Okay, so the set object does have an attribute as an update, but the frozen set does not. Okay, yeah. Next we'll have the difference. Let's okay, let's recreate these and just replace union with difference and it will and, right? So the difference should be 3. Okay, so here the union should be 1 2 3 4 5 and difference should be 3. So we should have 3, right? Makes sense? No, sorry, intersection, not difference. Sorry, I made a mistake. So intersection and difference, there is a difference. So intersection is the common element, so I am interested in the common elements. Okay, so this is how we'll get it. Next, let's see the difference. So difference is basically we'll get the so let's do the same. We'll have something like this. So the difference should be 1 comma 2, right? And we'll have something like difference and we'll have minus. Okay, let's quickly verify it. Okay, okay, I'm thinking the difference. Okay, it works. The last join method is symmetric difference, right? So when I do symmetric difference, the output should be 1 2 4 and 5, right? And let's quickly verify it using both the operator and the method. So 1 2 4 5 works, right? Next we have discussed the joins here. Okay, now we have some more methods. The first one is, so we have discussed this, we have discussed this, we have discussed this, we have discussed this. Okay, so we have 3 more methods. So first one, let's start with subset. So let's see, for example, I have created 2 frozen sets and let's see whether if frozen set 1 is a subset of frozen set 2 or not. What do you think? Is it a subset? I don't think so. False. But now if I do something like 3, is it a subset now? Yes, because this element 3 is there in set 4, is set 2. Okay, now similar we have superset. So if I do is superset, is it? It's not, right? But if I reverse it, if I say superset 2 is a subset, is a sorry, frozen set 2 is a superset of frozen set 1 or not? Is it? Because it is, right? Because the frozen set 2 contains all the items of frozen set 1, right? So so it should work, है ना? Make sense? Now we have another thing called disjoint. So let's discuss what disjoint is. For example, let's try with this one. Let's try with this one. So let's say if I have something like this, and I'll check if it is disjoint or not. So the output should be false. Okay, but now let's say I have the Frozensets which are defined something like this. Let's remove it. Then the output becomes yes, because there is no common between two sets. So basically they are disjoint sets. Okay, they don't have any intersection. Okay, so this is something. These are the methods of Frozen joints, and all these methods, so I think the joint methods we have already discussed for sets, and similar is for these methods. They do exist for the sets as well. Okay, next we'll have the set methods. So a lot of them we have already covered, but let's go through them here again. Okay, just to build that muscle memory. Okay, let's start. So let's define two sets. Set 1 equals to 1 2 3 4, and set 2 equals to 3 4 5 and 6. Okay, add is, we know that we, so let's quickly print it. Set 1 comma set 2, quickly print it, works. Now we know add is basically if we want to add an element to the set, but when we perform an addition we do not know where it is going to land. So if I do something like set1 dot add 7, so what it will do, it will add a value to set1 which is 7, but the position is still unknown. So if you do, so it added at the end, but it can change. Okay, next is clear. If I want to remove all the elements from a set, so for example if I do set1 dot clear, it will empty the set, right? Now let's reset it. Okay, copy method is something we do if we want to create a deep copy of a set. Okay, so right now set1 has 1 2 3 4. If I create a set 2, it will, both the set will have same elements 1 2 3 4. Okay, so let reset our set elements. Okay, difference we know. So for example if I do something like print set1 dot difference difference set2, I'll have 1 2 3, right? It should be 1 2 3. Sorry, it should be 1 2 because 3 and 4 is common. Okay, next we have difference update. So difference update, how it works is it will update one of the set which is included in the operation, right? So if we have, if I could do something like set1 dot difference update set2, so it will update set1 as well. So it will only contain, set1 will only contain 1 2, right? Now discard, we know how to remove an element from. So for example I want to right now my set1 contains 1 2. If I want to delete 2, I could do set1 dot discard, right? So it will work. So right now I'll set1 has only 1. Okay, let me just recreate my set again. Okay, now intersection are the common elements. So if I do something like this, 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 so if I do som something like this, something like this, it will give me output as 3, 4. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Intersection update, like we discussed for difference update, it will it will update one of the item, okay, sorry, one of the set. So if I do something like set1 dot intersection update, so it will update the set1 from 1 to 34 to 34. Let's quickly verify it. Yeah, now my set1 contain 3 4 and my set2 contain 3 4 5 6, right? So now let's do something. Let's recreate the set to have no common elements. Okay, let's say we have 1 2 and 5 6 3. So it is disjoint. What will do, it will return true if there are no common elements. Okay, so if I do something like print set1 dot is disjoint set2, so it should return true, right? Let's do something. So let's try to keep them in place. Okay, so if I have a set called 1 2 and if I have a set called 3 4, it should return true. But let's say if I have a set called 1 2 3 and if I have a set called 3 4, then the output should be false because they have a common element which is 3, right? Now is subset. Let's see. So if I am saying 1 2 is a subset of 3 4, it's not right because 1 2 is not there in 3 4, so it should be false. But if I'm saying 1 2 is a subset of 1 2 3 4, it is right because all the elements from this set 1 and 2 are there in the other set, right? So it should be true. Okay, is sorry, yeah. Okay, next we have is superset. So if I say print 2 3 is a superset of 4 3, it's not right. If I let's just print it, it's not. But if I say 2 3 is a superset of 3, it is right because 2 3 the set with the elements 2 3 contain all the elements from the set 3, right? So this is how it works. Now pop, we discussed how pop works. It removes an element from the set. So 1 2 3 4, so if I do set1 dot pop, it will remove a random element. Okay, so it left with 2 3 4. Remove, it will remove a specific element from a set. So if I do 1, it will throw an key error because this pop has already removed already removed this element. But if I remove, let's say if I remove something like 4, it will work because 2 3 works. Then we have symmetric difference. For example, I have these two sets. Let me have it again. So if I have these two sets and if I do symmetric difference, it will give me it will give me 1 2 5 6, and let's quickly verify it. 1 2 5 6 symmetric difference update. It will create the symmetry difference, but it will update the one of the sets. So how I can do it? So set 1 dot symmetric difference. So set 1 should be 1 2 5 6. Okay, now let's see the union. So union is basically combining the sets. So if I do something like print set 1 dot set 2, so it will give me 1 2 5 6. Okay, it will give me 1 2 3 4 5 6. It will combine all the elements and just remove the duplicates, right? And second, we have update. So what it will do, it will set 1 dot update. It will, so right now set 1 has 1 2 3 4, but after doing this, set 1 will have 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so yeah, so this is how sets work in Python. So I think we have discussed all the major things about sets. So sets is something which is very useful when we are working with mathematical equation, which is a lot while you are doing the ML algorithms, when you are implementing those or working with those in Python. So it is very important to understand how set works, how the joins work, and how the Frozensets work. Okay, so we have discussed how to create the sets, we have discussed how to add and remove elements, we have also discussed how to create an empty set, we have discussed the set operations in details, we have discussed union, intersection, difference, symmetric difference. We also checked how the membership, how to check whether the element exists in a set or not. We have checked how to loop through a set. We have also checked how to convert list to string, list to set, and vice versa, right? And we have also learned about the Frozensets. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, this is good. Till now we have learned about list, tuples, and sets, right? How we can define those. Okay, now the last and the next data collection that we have is Python dictionaries. Okay, so dictionaries are unordered. These are changeable, so you can change them. The one difference is that they are in a key value format. Okay, and the keys should be unique. They can change, but they should be unique throughout. Okay, now the data types can be of uh, any data type. It can be any data type, string, number, tuple, list, or anything, right? So, and how do you define it is using this. Okay, so we need to have a key, then we have a colon, then we have a value. This is how you define a dictionary. Okay, now let's quickly go through some text, which is a dictionary. Python is an unordered changeable collection of key value pairs. Key must be unique and they can be of any immutable types: string, number, tuple. Okay, next we have like how we can create the dictionaries. This is how we can create it, how we can access it, modify it, loop through it, check the membership, dictionary methods, nested dictionaries, and the dictionary comprehensions. So don't worry, we'll go through it one by one. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is the basic structure. So this is a variable name, which is a dictionary type. Okay, this is how it starts with the basis. Then we have a key, then we have a column, then we have a value. So basically it is a collection of key value pairs. Okay, now when we say when we say it is changeable, that means we can change the values. For example, if I do something like student name equals to, let's change Ruhi to something like Paul. Okay, if I'm doing something like this, and let me I reprint it student. Okay, then what else? Let's print it before as well, so that you can see the difference. You see, earlier the name was Ruhi, and then it was changed to Paul. Okay, now when I say duplicates not allowed, so for example, if I rewrite it to something like just repeat it, something like this, and if I try to print it, let's see what happened. So you see, it does not do anything. But let's say if I change the city to LA, for example, and then I run it again, let's see what happens. You see, it will, if there are duplicate keys, it will keep the key which is there for the, which is added at the end. Okay, that's how it happens. Okay, next is how to find the dictionary length. Similar how we have been doing in all the data types, we simply use the length function. So it is 3, because 1, 2, and because out of these two only one is going to be kept, so 3. Okay, so this is how you can check. Let me just remove it, or let's keep it. Okay, next is the data types. So same, it can have like different data types. For example, I could, so if you see, okay, so let's rewrite it. So let's say student equals to name, let's change name to Paul, city, and let's say hobbies. So it can be something like a list. Okay, painting, singing. Okay, and let's have another key which is like is single. Okay, sorry, let's keep it as is employed. Let's say it says true. Yeah, so this is how we can define, we can have different data types in a single dictionary. So this is a string, this is a int, again string, then a list, and then a boolean type. Okay, this is how you can have different data types in a dictionary. Let's quickly print it and see what's happening. Yeah, it works, right? Now let's check the type. If you remember, when we try to create an empty set, it did not work, right? Because, okay, sorry, see the type, so it should be dict, which is the type of a dictionary. Okay, now similar how we have been doing for other data collection like list, set, or tuple, similarly here also we have a dict constructor. For example, I have something like, so this is how also I can create dict1 equals to dict, and yeah, I'll have something like this, right? Let's name it as Paul. I'll have something like this. So this is also works. Okay, and if I print the type, it should print me a dict type. Okay, so this is how you can define your dictionaries. Okay, next is how you can access your dictionary, how to access it. So basically, let's take an example, this one. So let's take this example and quickly print it. So if you see something that in this, in a dictionary we have two things. We have basically three things. Okay, so this is something called a item. Like when we are creating a list, like whenever we create a list or something, so we define it using this. Similarly here we are defining this curly braces. Then we have item, item, item. Similarly here we have item separated using a colon, comma, item separated using a colon, comma, sorry, item separating using a comma, item, and so on, right? But with each item we have two things. First is a key, okay, and the second is the value. Okay, so any dictionary contains of three things: items, keys, and values. Okay, now let's go one by one. Okay, how can we get the keys? Okay, how can we access the items? Okay, let's go one by one. Okay, so there are two ways you can do it. So for example, if I do something like print student name, you remember how we were doing indexing in list and tuple? Similarly here the indexes are replaced by the keys. So if I do name, so it will print me Paul. Okay, second is something I could do something like print student dot get name. I'll show you the difference as well. So if I do something, it will also return Paul. Now if I do something like name 1, so it will throw me an error and will say that key does not exist. Basically it will throw me a key error. Okay, but when I'll try to do this with dot get method, it will just return me, okay, sorry, if I try to do it with the get method, it will return me false and it will not throw an error. Okay, this is something that gets handy whenever we, like for example in any project, whenever we have like a large large data set or something like that, and we need to extract some values from it, and sometimes they can be empty or things like that, so we can use these methods so they do not break our code. Okay, that's how you can get the items. Okay, now if I want to, so right now I only have a dictionary but I do not know the keys. So how I can list it? So we can list it something like this: print student dot keys. Okay, so what it will do, it will print name, age, city, hobbies, and is employed. Okay, so it will print all the keys that we have. Okay, and on base of the key, so let's try one more thing. If I do something like student dot keys, yeah, you can also see the list of this similar way how we were doing for other data types, so you can see it, right? You can convert it to the list as well. Okay, one thing I wanted to check here is whether, okay, let's see something. So if I can do something like this or not, let's see if it works or not. Okay, yeah, it does not work because this dict key is unsubscriptable. Okay, but if I do something like this, so what I'll do is I'll do a typecasting here. I'll do list, and then I try to extract the 0th element, which should be name. So the answer should be Paul. Let's see if it works or not. Yeah, it works. So answer is Paul. Okay, this is how you can work. Next is how to get the values. So if I want to list all the values like Paul 22 with Delhi, painting, singing, true, so I could just use student dot values. If I do this, I'll get the output, right? Simply you can like move it. Right now it is a dict values type. You can use typecast it to a list. Okay, you can easily do that. Next is similar. If I want to print all the items, okay, how can I do that is using by simply calling print student dot items. Okay. Yeah, you see something. So this is of dict keys, which has a list inside it. Okay, this is a dict values, which has a list inside it. This is a dict items, which is a list again. And if you see, the key value pair is defined as a single tuples, right? So you can typecast them. Okay, next we have like check whether a key exists or not. So if you remember, we have an in method, right? So if I want to check whether a name key exists in the dictionary or not, I could simply do this, true. And let's say I'll check for name 1, so it should return me false. Works? Yeah. Okay, so this is how we can access our dictionary. There are 3 main things in a dictionary: items, keys, and values, and we have discussed how we can list and read each of those. Yeah, next is how to change the dictionary values. Okay, so let's take this, let's skip it, and quickly let's print it, student. Okay, now how can we change it? I think I have shown one way to change it, which is we could do something like this. Yeah, so right now let's say the name is Paul, and let's change it to Pauline. Okay, works. So what we are doing is we are changing the value using key indexing. Okay, like right how we used to do it in list and tuples, we used to pass the index. So here we are passing the key. Okay, so these are the keys. Okay, second way is we have a update method. So what it does is, for example, I want to update the key and I need to pass the value. So now that the name is Pauline, now I want to change it back to Paul. So this is how I could do it, right? And I could also pass multiples. For example, I want to change city to LA, for example. Okay, so I could do this. See, this is how you can update your dictionary. Okay, next is how you can add items. So again, for example, let's reinstate it. Again, there are 2 ways you can do it. First is key indexing. For example, I just simply add the salary. Okay, so this is a new key, it does not exist. So what it will do, it will just re-add it. Okay, there is another way, which is using the update method. Okay, the same update method. So if I do student dot update salary equals to 2000, so what it will do, it will update the salary of this, right? It will update it to 2000. But if I do something like student dot update is let's say is single, okay, so if I pass it as true, so it will update, it will add another key which is single, which will have a value of true. Okay, so this is how we can add values to our dictionary. Okay, similar, how can we remove? So for example, now that we have these many keys, so how can we remove it? So there we have many methods. So first one is the pop method. So if I do student, let's say if first one is pop, like how we were doing in sets and earlier. So let's say if I say something like student dot pop salary, so what it will do, it will remove this key. So I'll have something like, it just removed this key, so I'll have something like this. Okay, now if I say, if I just do this, for example, I'll just do this. Instead of passing a specific key, I do this, it will throw an error. Okay, if you remember in set, it was removing an item randomly. If you remember in list, it was removing the last item, right? But here if you pass the pop as empty, it will throw an error. Okay, now next we'll have is a pop item. So let's see how that works. So for example, if you do something like student dot pop item, okay, you will do something like this and you'll just simply print it, and what it will do, it will remove the last item from the dictionary. Okay, next you have clear. So same how it is working everywhere. So if you do student dot clear, it will empty your dictionary. Okay, now delete, similar how we were doing earlier. So if you want to okay, so if you remember in list, we can delete the individual items, right? So similar here, you can also delete it. So for example, let's recreate it first. Okay, something like this, and we'll have something like this. Okay, let's just rerun it first. Okay, let's rerun it. Okay, we'll have something like this. Let's just quickly keep it here so that when we rerun it, we don't have to worry about this. Okay, so I have recreated it and now this works, right? So if I want to delete let's say this one, so what I could do with del, I could do something like this, or let's remove this instead of name. Yeah, this is how you can remove it. Now if I want to remove the entire dictionary, so I could do something like this, and if I try to print it, it will throw an error like a name error, because the student does not exist anymore and it is deleted, right? Okay, so this is how you can delete items from dictionary. Okay, next we have is loop. Right, yeah. So how can we loop in a dictionary? For some example, this is my dictionary, and if I just quickly print it, I'll have something like this, yeah. And let's do a for loop. Okay, direct a simple for loop. So if I do something like for s in student, let's see what happens. Print s, so it should print each item, okay, on each loop. So first it should print name, Paul, age 22, something like this. So let's see. So it is printing me the items. It is printing me the keys. Works. Now what if I want to print the values? If I want to only print the values, how could I do that? We have a for value in student dot values, right? Yeah. So if I do this, it will print me only the values. So like say Paul 22 Delhi and so on. Yeah, works. And now for example, I just want to print the keys. See the keys. Okay, if I want to only print the keys, so what I'll get is keys. Okay, and now what if I want to print each item? Okay, how I can do is for key comma value in student dot items, right? It will give me each. So if you remember, while at the very beginning when we were discussing about, yeah, these are the methods that we discussed in the beginning. So because if you see, when we printed this, so we get something like this, right? So these are the iterators, so we can work with it. Okay, so this is how you can loop through them. Now next topic is copy dictionary. So how can we copy it? So for example, let's again we'll have how we were be discussing the difference between equals to and copy. So if I do something like, so for example, I have something like this, it works, right? It will work. Now if I make any change to student 2, so let's make student name change to Pauline. Now let's print both. What happens? Let's see. So if you see, the changes happened in both. It should not happen, right? Now what we can do is we can, let's create it using the method copy. So when we do copy, it creates a shallow copy, and if we make change to one, it does not reflect in the other. Okay, so for example, if I make, yeah, so for example, if I update name to Pauline, so it should only take place in the second dictionary. It should not change the name in this dictionary as well. So let's quickly verify it. See, it does not. Okay, next we have is nested dictionaries. Okay, like we discussed, how we discussed about nested list, nested tuples. Similarly, we have nested dictionaries. So basically, for example, let's create a result. Let's create a student, same, right? So it will have a name, let's say Paul. It will have an age, let's say 16, sorry 16. Let's say it will have some hobbies, let's say this, and it will have some address, right? So now if you see in address, it will have some city, it will have some pin code, right? So this can be stored as a dictionary of its own. So this becomes a nested, this is what we call a nested dictionary. Okay, if I print it, it will, sorry, I think I made, okay, equals to, I missed equals to. Okay, so this is how we can create nested dictionaries. Okay, now what if I want to print the pin code? So how I can do it? So I know, so this belongs to this key, right? So print student address, and I know then it belongs to this key. So this, I'll have something like this, right? So let's quickly, I think we have already discussed it while we were working with the nested list in tuples. So there we were passing the indexes, here we are passing the key. Yeah, only difference is that. Okay, so let's start with the dictionary methods. So a lot of them we have already covered, but some are new, so let's discuss all of them just to create that muscle memory. Okay, so for example, let's take this one. We have something like this, right? Student, I have created the student and just quickly print it, right? Clear, we have talked about that it will empty the dictionary. So if I say something like student dot clear, and then I'll just print student, then it will show me an empty dictionary, right? Now let's reinstate it. Copy, we talked about that it will create a copy of it. So let's say if I create something like that, and I'll make some change to student and one, so this change is only made to the student one, it will not be made to that particular one, right? So we have a copy function which we can use to, if you want to create different copies of a dictionary, right? Next is we have from keys. It is something, for example, I have X, I have defined some keys here, then I have some Y which I have mentioned Y. So what it will do, it will create dict. So what I am doing here is I am creating a dictionary with keys key1, key2, key3, and with value 0. Okay, so this is something how we can do it. Okay, so this is X is the keys and Y is the values. Okay, next we have get. For example, I want to get the value of the name key, so I could do something like this, right? Next we have items. It's pretty simple, so it should be something like students dot item. Yeah, if I run it, sorry, items, and I think there is one more mistake. Yeah, item. Okay, it will work, right? Similarly for keys, if I do something like student dot keys, I'll see the keys, right? Pop we discussed, so it will remove the item with this particular key name, right? So if I do something like that, so it will remove the name key pair. Okay, next we have pop item. Pop item basically remove the last entered key value pair. So if you see this one, so it will remove address. So if I run it, okay, sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, so it will return, it will remove address, right? So try it one more time. Okay, right, this is how pop item work and pop, right? Next we have, let's try one more thing. So for example, I'm doing pop and I mentioned a key which does not exist. Let's see what happens. So it will throw me a key error, right? Okay, next we have is set default. So a set default is something, for example, for example, I have done student dot set default name equals to Paul. So for a key I have defined a default value. So now if I check student, let's see what happens. So you see that this Paul got added, right? Makes sense, right? Now let's see, I do something like this, age equals to, let's change the age to 40. Okay, now let's try it. So if you see here, the age remains same because our string or dictionary already contain this key value pair, right? So it did not had any effect, but here because it did not had it, so it changed, like it added the name and the value. Okay, this is how you can use set default. Okay, next is update. We can update, for example, right now we can update the name to, if you do name Pauline and if run it, it will update. Or it is also used, it can also be used to insert also. So if I do something like is working, let's make it as true, something like that. So if I do this, it will add it, right? Yeah. Next is values. Similar how we were returning the list of keys and items, similarly I can return the list of values. Okay, that's how it works. So now we have discussed all the data types. So we have discussed all the major data types that we have in Python. We have talked about integer, we have talked about string, we have talked about float, we have talked about boolean. So these are the basic ones, right? Boolean. Next then we talked about some data collections, in which we talked about list, we talked about tuple, right? We talked about set, we talked about Frozensets, and we talked about dictionaries, right? So these are the basic structure, data structures that we have in Python. Okay, everything or whatever we have in Python, wherever the data is defined, so these are the data types that we have, right? These are the structures that will be used. Okay, we don't have anything else in Python. So this is pretty much, if you know all these, so you know how data behaves in Python. Okay, so I think yeah, thank you, and in the next session we'll start with some more topic. Okay, bye.